And I am going to allow Director D'avola to present this.
Yes.
She wrote the cover sheet.
All right, so I'm going to read the background information for this resolution. During the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key penned the poem that became our national anthem. The last stanza of the poem states, "Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven rescue land. Praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, and God is our trust."
I think that we need stakeholder feedback on something like this, so I think it's something that needs to be fleshed out a little more thoroughly. So those are just my thoughts on it.
Question, how would you flesh them out thoroughly?
Well, what I like is the idea is if we do encourage and not prohibit displays of historical documents, things that deal with the founding of our nation, I don't have a problem with the national motto being displayed. It is the national motto of the United States. I just would like to hear more from the community, and I would like to have
people, they would not look at that as simply ceremonial, but rather they would look at that as a little more of an imposition of religion, and you know, that is something we want to avoid. We want to make our schools places where everybody can feel welcome, and so anyway, I just think that those are some things that ought to be taken into account by the next board that's going to actually have to deal with the substance of whatever the final thing is that somebody does if they do something.
And I'm going to call on the students not until after I speak, okay? We as a nation, and I believe we are a great nation, that has faults. And slowly we get better. Slowly we try to correct those faults. We need to be reminded of things like the Magna Carta, the Mayflower Compact, why certain colonies have failed, why we are where we're at right now. And so I've heard from a teacher that says, kids don't look at this. What is this going to do for academic achievement? What is this going to do for culture? And I say, well, it's part of the civics discussion that we're discussing. But I think hearing from the community is important. I think hearing from the students is important. What do you guys think about foundational and heritage documents, displays, things like that?
We have one at Falcon High School. It's in the main hallway. It's on the right side, and it just has, I don't remember the exact documents, but I know there's the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and a few other things that I haven't had the opportunity to look at yet. But I personally am into history, and I like reading the documents that they have there, and I feel like it's useful because it's part of our nation, it's part of our history, and it's something that the students need to be able to know and learn and understand where they come from.
And I will say, I don't think my school has those documents up, but I would love to see those in our school. And the representation of the "In God We Trust" with the historical context, I feel like will kind of decrease some of those arguments that may be presented with like, oh, the separation of church and state and all that. But yeah, I would totally love to see those.
They say inalienable. And inalienable has a different meaning. It's only partial of what unalienable means. Unalienable means that you cannot give away your rights and no one else can take them away. It's more encompassing. We, as a country, were formed on individual liberty, the proper role of government, and an engaged citizenry. And part of education is to engage that citizenry by preparing them for adult life and teaching them what it is to be self-governing citizens. So I think having these displays are very good. I like what I like this effort. And go ahead, Jamilynn.
Yes, this was intended to be a starting point, not a final product. And so the In God We Trust is a starting point that we can jump off of. I think it's important to note, you just mentioned our inalienable rights. And the Founding Fathers knew very clearly that those rights came from God. They do not come from man. And governments were instituted to protect those rights. And if there's nothing higher than God, then government can take away those rights. And so it's important for us to understand that as a nation, that our nation was founded on the idea that God is above government because he gave us those rights. And so I think that's very important. And so having that historical context, just like you had said, if we had some documentation of why it became our national motto and understanding the history of it, and those three little dots are the ellipses where they mentioned God, they mentioned the Bible, they mentioned their Christian faith, they called upon Almighty God. It's very important not to take those things out, because when you take more and more of those things out, that's what's causing our country to be further and further entrenched into possible tyranny. We have soft tyranny now, but it can continue to get worse. So I just wanted to make note of that.
Lori?
It's really important to look at too that with the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights, the freedom of religion, freedom to have no religion, and that they did not want a theocracy. And I have actually represented clients who came from a theocracy. All people means just that, including people who have a different opinion. We can't just value the people who agree with us. And he added value and respect all people. And so if somebody has a different viewpoint, I think that's wonderful. I think that's what makes us a great country, the fact that we can speak out without fear. And so value and respect all people. Even though it was a brief conversation, I really appreciated that, and I wanted to thank him for just a different thought. And then I had a woman I respect who talked about, she was concerned about the tyranny of the majority, and I don't think there should be a tyranny of the majority or a tyranny of the minority. I think there has to be conversations and mutual respect. So that's all I wanted to add to that.
Anything else?
America. And while I do appreciate the Freedom Shrine that we have in some of our high schools, I'm also honest enough to know that some of those displays are a little dated. Some of them are hard to read because they were written in longhand, like the Instrument of Surrender at the end of World War II. And so I wonder if maybe this is an opportunity to work with our both educational professionals, also our student leaders, and also our community groups that would have a great interest in helping us develop plain text, readable versions of these documents to show where all of our values come from. As an example, I think there are very few people who understand the significance and depth of the oath taken upon becoming a citizen. And as a father of naturalized citizens, that one's a really big deal. I know a lot of our community understand the oath of office taken by those in service in the military. That's a very big deal. And so I think a more expansive approach to this topic, I think, would be much more likely to generate a lot of, it would be more unifying, whereas a narrow focus on In God We Trust is likely to bring some division. And I'm very interested in unifying around things that should naturally unify us, which includes the context, the legacy, the speeches. And I appreciate the diversity of perspectives shared tonight, but I think this is actually an opportunity that I would like to take leadership on, to bring together the people that I described a moment ago, along with the group that I am convening as a superintendent's cultural leadership group. I'd like to come back with a proposal that expands on this resolution and incorporates some community groups as well, because I know there are community groups that would be eager to help us create and perhaps even install these displays.
So you also have the American Legion, Veteran Foreign Wars, the Marine Corps League, all those kind of vet groups. You also have the Chamber of Commerce that's doing the Civics Bee, which I think is, they're going to be, the American Legion's doing something this Saturday in Golden for what they talked about, prior. So I really want to call on Jamilynn.
With those displays, I would like to make sure that we do include In God We Trust motto with those displays.
And with the history of why it is what it is. Okay. So, I encourage Jamilynn and Laurie to be the two board representatives involved in working, liaisoning with the leadership of Mr. Hilts to figure this all out. Do I have consensus for that?
For that, yes, not for the resolution.
No, I'm talking about what I just said, for assigning those two
Yes.
to to assign Mr. Hilts the task with doing what he just said, and Jamilynn and Laurie would be the two board members that will liaise with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Yes.
Hey, John, I have a recommendation.
Go ahead.
For the resolution, could we put in there that we encourage the posting, just like the one for the State Board of Education?
Absolutely. But you will have to change the cover sheet too.
Okay.
Anybody who said anything to me about must mention the cover sheet. So, but we can do that, and I will have it done before I leave tonight. Okay, it will read. We're not advancing it, but I'm gonna give an updated, editable version, okay? We're not advancing it because you're gonna give him time to work with the community to figure that out. And then the resolution will come back under the new board once he does that leadership thing that we just all conceded on.
So we're not advancing this then to the next board meeting, the resolution?
Do you want, okay. Do you want to? Right now, you got two saying no, and I would love for the resolution to be moved forward. I don't think December will be the time. I think January is more of a time for that. You okay with that? Because they want to see encourage, and they want to see Peter do his work. And it's going to be a discussion for the next board meeting. But I think that with the word encourage, that resolution is going to I encourage Jamilynn and Laurie to be the two board representatives involved in working, liaisoning with the leadership of Mr. Hilts to figure this all out. Do I have consensus for that?
For that, yes, not for the resolution.
No, I'm talking about what I just said, for assigning those two
Yes.
to assign Mr. Hilts the task with doing what he just said, and Jamilynn and Laurie would be the two board members that will liaise with that.
Hey, John, I have a recommendation.
Go ahead.
For the resolution, could we put in there that we encourage the posting, just like the one for the State Board of Education?
Absolutely. But you will have to change the cover sheet too.
Okay.
Anybody who said anything to me about must mention the cover sheet. So, but we can do that, and I will have it done before I leave tonight. Okay, it will read.
I thought we weren't advancing the
We're not advancing it, but I'm gonna give an updated, editable version, okay? We're not advancing it because you're gonna give him time to work with the community to figure that out. And then the resolution will come back under the new board once he does that leadership thing that we just all conceded on.
So we're not advancing this then to the next board meeting, the resolution?
Do you want, okay. Do you want to? Right now, you got two saying no, and I would love for the resolution to be moved forward. I don't think December will be the time. I think January is more of a time for that. You okay with that? Because they want to see encourage, and they want to see Peter do his work. And it's going to be a discussion for the next board meeting. But I think that with the word